Cowboys were an enigma this year. Now, the easy analysis is everything was fine until Dak Prescott suffered the calf injury, throwing the touchdown pass at the end of the overtime win against the Patriots, and just was never the same after that. And by the time he got healthy, other things were falling apart. I don't know. It was a crazy season, and it was punctuated by a very disappointing loss to the 49ers in the wild card round. Underachieving would be the label that most would apply. And now Dak Prescott, with his $40 million per year contract and really 2 years away from the team being forced to redo it, he wants to have a voice. He wants to help make the decisions. Your thoughts on that, Charean, and do you think the Jones family will say to Dak Prescott, come have a seat at the table while we make our decisions about personnel?
Well, Mike, you've always talked about that these franchise quarterbacks should have a seat at the table. They're fully invested, and now that he does have know where he stands contract-wise, which is the first time in a long time when you think about how long it was until he got that 4-year, $160 million deal last March. It was a long time coming. So, yes, I think he deserves a seat at the table to talk about where this team is going to go, especially offensively. They have 3 offensive starters among their 20 scheduled unrestricted free agents, so surely he'll get a say in that. And then there's the big decision about what to do with Amari Cooper. So Michael Gallup has the injury and becomes a free agent. Cedric Wilson, who took over for Gallup after he got hurt, is a free agent. CeeDee Lamb was your number 1 receiver, but if you move on from Amari Cooper, are you just left with CeeDee Lamb? And suddenly, to me, you're a totally different offense if he's your only weapon, if Dalton Schultz leaves. So they have a lot of these weapons who either they have to make a decision on their future, as is with Amari Cooper. They have till March 20th to decide what to do with his contract, whether to move on for him, redo the contract, whatever they're going to do. And then what to do about these free agents that they have. And that's the reason. They were the number 1 scoring offense. They were the number 1. But a lot of that they did against really mediocre teams or bad teams. You look at what they did against Atlanta and some other teams, they put up some huge numbers. But to do it consistently against good teams, they didn't do that. Teams above 500, they didn't do that. So they've got to figure out how to really, same thing that we're talking about the Vikings, how to get over the hump, how to run the ball better, how to better protect Dak Prescott. It was only 2, 3, 4 years ago, whatever it was, that we were talking about this being the best offensive line in football, and perhaps one of the best in history. They're not that anymore. So they need to rebuild that offensive line, figure out Ezekiel Elliott's going to be back on the team, but they've got to run the ball better than what they did last year and help him out more. So absolutely, long answer that could have been short to say, yes, he deserves a seat at the table to talk at least about what they're going to do offensively to help him get better next year.
And just because you've got a seat at the table doesn't mean you have to listen to what he says. You give him the courtesy of hearing him out. And you explain to him why you may be doing something other than what he wants to do. You find a way to get him on board. But that's where the Packers got sideways with Aaron Rodgers and why they may end up losing Rodgers when it's all said and done, because they disrespected him when he was trying to have a voice. The attitude was, you just work here. You worry about throwing the football. We'll worry about who you're throwing it to, who's blocking for you, and who's playing defense when you're on the sideline getting ready to go throw the football again. At least give the guy an opportunity to chime in. There's value that the quarterback can bring to the personnel discussion, even if you're not saying that you're going to give him any type of say over what you do. You know, does he really want Amari Cooper? Hey, you know, here's the thing, Dak. Amari's due to make $20 million this year. When we signed him a couple of years ago, our plan was to try to find a guy like a CeeDee Lamb, develop him, and go with some cheaper options around him. And we can always go to the draft for young guys who can come in and play well. And Dak, here's the research that we've done. Here are all the young receivers who have had a major impact right out of the gates. First round, second round, third round, fourth round. We can't afford to give $20 million this year to Amari Cooper. That's money that can be used to help improve the offensive line that has not been as good in recent years as it used to be. But at least take the time. Show him the respect make the investment of your time and effort to make sure the guy that you expect to be the boss on the shop floor and to hold the teammates accountable, to show up early, to stay late, to be fully invested and act like a member of management, make sure he understands what you're doing. And maybe there's something you'll glean from him that will cause you to think differently. And that was why Aaron Rodgers was so flabbergasted by the refusal of the Packers to listen to him. He has value. He'd been there 15 years. He has value to the organization. He has experience. He has knowledge, and he knows what he likes. And those things, there's a way to harvest that information without committing to a guy that maybe you don't want, even if you think the quarterback wants him. I think that every team with a franchise quarterback should do it. Not every starting quarterback has that right, but when you truly have a guy that you've made the investment in, and he's an extension of you as owner of the team, and you expect him to be there and he wants to be there, I think it's stupid not to take advantage of that resource.
Yeah, no question. I think the Cowboys went overboard the one year. Do you remember the Troy Aikman year when they had him working out tight ends in the draft and receivers in the draft and who do you like? And they listened to him. And I can't even remember who the tight end was. It was a tight end out of LSU they ended up drafting who was not very good. And it didn't work out. So sometimes you can kind of go overboard in that. But you absolutely deserve the right, if you're a franchise quarterback and they're paying you this money to be fully invested in the team, to sit down at the table and at least say, hey, here's who I like. This is what I like about our offense. This is what I would like to see improved in our offense. And, you know, if you're Aaron Rodgers and you want Randall Cobb back, then you make that call, and the Packers should absolutely bring Randall Cobb back. And it's the same thing with Dak Prescott. He's been in this league long enough now, 6 years, that he knows what he needs and what he likes to win and try to get the Cowboys to the next level, somewhere they haven't been since 1995. So I think they should listen to him. Now, whether they heed what he says, that's a different story completely, but at least listen to what he has to say, especially when it comes to the Dalton Schultzes, the Amari Coopers, and guys that he's played with over the last few years.
And, you know, it would be funny, potentially, if they explain everything to him. They show him all the contracts, the cap numbers. They sit down and have the conversation. He may say things like, why'd you guys give Zeke all that money? Why'd you structure the contract that way, where your hands are tied, when he may not be our best option now or in the future at running back, even though he's had some good years? That's one of the questions. And see, that's the thing. It's not just about the quarterback playing with his friends and having a short-term enjoyment level of being in the locker room and being around guys he likes and guys he's comfortable with. You got to think about the future, and every decision you make now potentially impacts the future of the team.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.